This is Shauna from Heritage Creations Cut Flowers, and today I am going to make a biodegradable wreath. The reason I'm doing this is I had a customer ask me, because she runs a business off the coast where they have a little charter and they do take people. I think you have to go a certain distance out where you can spread ashes out in the sea. This client wanted to have a wreath to set out, and I'm also going to do 2 bouquets for her. But the wreath obviously has to be biodegradable. No plastics, metal, anything like that. So grapevine wreath, and then I'm going to tie it with twine, and then the flowers will be wrapped with moss, and hopefully the moss, I've soaked the moss, and then I've hydrated the flowers well, and hopefully they'll all stay nice and hydrated. She's picking up Thursday evening and driving back on Friday, so I'm imagining it is going to be on Saturday. So this wreath has to stay well hydrated for several days. So hopefully this will all work. Obviously I'm not worried about the bouquet. She can just put those in water. So my plan is I have a little sprayer, just a little water sprayer, and I'm going to have her just spray that wreath continually to keep that moss wet, and hopefully that will keep the flowers moist enough, the ends moist enough to, keep the flowers well hydrated. I did pick flowers that were pretty hardy, meaning straw flowers. Straw flowers are going to look good no matter what. Status, that's going to look good no matter what. Yarrow, that's going to look pretty good no matter what. Then rosemary, that should be pretty hardy. And dianthus. Dianthus, I think, is going to be pretty hardy. So, and then I have a few Lenten roses. The hellebores, they were already green, so those are really hardy. So I think those will be fine. I think that's it. I think that's all I'm going to put in there. So hopefully it'll turn out well. I'm a little bit nervous because I've never done this before. Again, I've watched a video from Common Farm Flowers, and I'm going to do it how she did it. Fingers crossed. Wish me luck. I am now making the biodegradable wreath. So what I've done so far is I've decided I'm going to make the posies. These are little posies, and I'm tying them with the twine. I'm not really sure how many I'm going to make. Here's my grapevine wreath. So I've got my grapevine wreath, and the posies are going to go, I've only made 2. The posies are going to be stacked on top of each other like this, but the ends of them are going to be wrapped in this moss that I have down here. So first I'm going to make all the posies, then I'm going to wrap the bottoms with moss and tie that on with twine, and then I'm going to tie each one on to the grapevine wreath with twine and overlap, like the moss will be here, tied on, and go all the way around. So right now I'm just making small little posies. I figured that would be the quickest way to do it. And what I have, again, I'm trying to do this out of things that I think will hold well in, this is, okay, I'm trying to do this out of things that are going to hold well and not a lot of water. And I have various things. Okay, so I do have 3 Lenten rose. They will hold well. I've got status, I've got rosemary, I've got some different types of yarrow. This is Peter Cottontail yarrow, which, well, can you see? No. Peter Cottontail yarrow, regular yellow yarrow. I have straw flowers, and I think this dianthus will hold pretty well. I think that's it. My status is different colors down here. So far, this is what we've got going on. And then I will kind of fast forward through the making of the posy process, and then I'll stop and see how I'm going to wrap them. But I've kind of figured out that, where's my stick? I can't lose my stick. This is the size I need, so that way I can kind of measure each little posy and then put them on. So this is my little measuring stick. Here are my posies, and let's get to work. I am sitting under an umbrella. I think it's pretty cool enough outside to do this out here, and then that way we will get to work. All right, guys, I've tied one on. What do you think about that? Now, I am not an expert. I am just, like I said, I watched a YouTube video from Common Farm Flowers, and this is how she did it. So I'm cutting these kind of short. I'm taking my sheet moss that I have hydrated right in here, wrapping it around like a little ball on here. Then I am taking my twine. I'm leaving this long tail. That's what I did the last time. Flower, don't get caught. Don't get caught. Don't get caught. What you do? Okay. Wrapping it around. Then I go down one way and then I go this way to kind of make a little pouch. Back this way. Then what I did was I tied it off. Again, this is just what I'm doing, because I felt like I wanted it to be really secure. So I tied it off here, double knot, and then I'm going to put this kind of how I want it on the wreath. Then I'm going to cut a string yay long, and then what I did was, let me go through this right here. There's a stick sticking out. I don't want to go around that. Okay. Okay, so once again, and what I did the last time is I came up here, I tied it on one more time. I mean, like, tied it on up here, but then I also went to the back and tied it back here really tight. Voila. All right, we'll see. We're going to keep on going with this. And that's what I'm going to do. And again, this moss is going to keep these hydrated. And I'm just going to tell her to maybe spritz the moss a little bit. She has to pick up, she's going to pick up tomorrow. Okay, so I'm going to keep going around like this. And then when I get to this part, I'll show you. But, yeah, this is really wet. And so we're just going to keep this spritz and wet to keep these flowers hydrated. That's the whole goal of keeping this all alive. Guys, I give up. My microphone is on silent and I don't know how to get it off. That's just me. I don't know how to do it, so I hope you can hear me. I'm going to talk loud. This is how you finish out the wreath, and I don't even know if I can do it. It's raining out here. It's been raining, but I was already set up, and so I'm just finishing my wreath out here. So you gently are going to pull this up, and I'm going to stick my other one up under here very, very gently and get that up underneath there. It's a bit harder to tie it on. Got that under there. And then I have to try not to tie those flowers in with what I'm in this piece. So bear with me for just a minute. Take that back through. Luckily, I had set up my umbrella to begin with because I did see it was supposed to start raining. And I just wanted to do this outside because the moss is all wet and it was just going to make a mess. Figured if I was under my umbrella, it didn't matter. Tying it tight. Alright, I'm going to cut these off. This is not a wreath that's going to be hanging up. This biodegradable wreath is actually for a customer that they have a service where they take their boat out off a certain distance from the shore, and for their customer this wreath is going to be floating out in the sea, and then they're going to spread ashes of a loved one out with this wreath. So that's why it has to be biodegradable. It's just going to float out in the ocean. So this just has flowers, moss, twine, and twigs. And here is, let's see if I can get a good picture. Here it is. I'm pretty excited about it. So here it is. I'm pretty excited because it's my first one. Thanks to, that's a better look. Thanks to Common Farm Flowers for putting out her video, because this was definitely a good way to do it. And I'm super excited. Biodegradable funeral flowers. Sort of a funeral. I think it's a memorial service, really. But I'm super excited about my wreath. This is all I have left. There's a little bit of Peter Cottontail Yarrow, Status, Dianthus. I did not even use the Orlea. I figured that was, eh. And then these 5 little posies over here. And yes, it did start raining. But I have my giant umbrella, and so I just worked under here in the rain, and it worked out perfect. Well, Bob got my microphone working. Basically, on the last one, you just have to lift up that first one and kind of slide it under and then tie it all. I wasn't sure how many of the little posy things I was going to need, and so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 left. I made 20, so obviously I just needed 15 to cover that 20-inch wreath. So that's how many it took for me. And it really wasn't that difficult. It was much easier for me to make all the posies and then tie them off, and then just take the moss, wrap the moss around, tie it off, and then put it on the wreath. For me, it seemed to go faster that way. I don't know how other people do it. That was the first time I've ever done it. Obviously, I watched Common Farm Flowers do her wreath. She just showed kind of the beginning, and then she showed the end, so I'm not quite sure how she did hers, if she just made them and wrapped them and put them on. I don't know. I just needed to get all the posies done and then wrap them and put them on. It worked best for me. So, that is my biodegradable wreath.